Here we have a Ford Kuga. It's a 2018 model fitted with the 1.5 EcoBoost petrol engine, and it's got roughly 42,000 miles on the clock. As part of the service on this Kuga today, I'm going to be doing an engine oil and filter change. So as I do with anything I do oil and filter on, I like to loosen the cap or take it off, and the same, just pull the dipstick up a bit. Just allows air into the engine as the oil's draining out underneath, and hopefully it will come out a bit smoother. The oil filter on this model is a spin-on metal canister, which I believe is accessible from underneath, so we'll take it up in the air and have a look. As with a lot of cars nowadays, this is fitted with an undertray or a belly pan. It's just like a felt plastic cover. It's supposed to reduce road noise, and it stops debris and bits and pieces flicking up into the engine bay. It's held on with Torx 30 bolts up in there, and we've also got a random 7mm bolt there. It's missing on the other side, so we'll have to replace that with something. But I'll go ahead now and get these bolts out and remove the tray so we can drain the oil down. I'm just going to take that random 7 one out. The meter out first. Right, now we're underneath with the under tray off. You can see here's our sump plug, which is a 13mm head size, and I've got a socket here, single hex. I just prefer to use that. It gives you a bit better purchase on the bolt and reduces the chance of rounding anything off. So make sure you've got your bucket or drainer or whatever ready. The engine's quite warm, so it will come out relatively fast. Right, we'll just let that do its thing now for a few minutes. So as you can see, the oil filter is here, which is just a spin-on oil filter, and they're only ever meant to be done up hand tight. However, over time, obviously, they do stick a bit and become quite tight. There are a variety of tools on the market you can use to remove filters. My usual go-to is just a pair of slide grips, although you can get like a shaped cup which would fit on the end, and then you put your ratchet in. But as you can see, there's not a lot of room there, so I always try them by hand first. And that is just about moving, so I'm gonna see if I can undo it. Oh yeah, that's good. Quite pleased about that, because it does look very fiddly to crack loose if it was too tight. Obviously make sure you've got your drainer positioned underneath. I'll grab some blue roll. We'll give it a minute and I'll remove that. So here we have the replacement oil filter. As you can see, it's not a genuine Ford one. I prefer to go for a decent brand name, aftermarket. They're normally sort of half the price of a genuine one. Now, one thing to bear in mind when you take the old oil filter off is to make sure that rubber seal is still in it. They do just pull out, and sometimes they can stick to the housing on the engine. So make sure that's still in there. And you need to either put a bit of grease or a bit of oil on the seal. I'll just use a bit of the old oil. Just helps to stop it sticking. So when you come to remove it next time, you should be able to get it off without too much bother. So we're just going to nip that up now. Hand tight. That's it. And I've got a bit of brake cleaner here, so I can give that a bit of a blast off where it's dripped everywhere. Lovely. And we'll pop the sump plug back in next. Right, before you put the sump plug back in, it's worth checking the rubber O-ring there. They're normally good to go several times. That looks fine, just make sure it's not split or squashed. A lot of sump plugs generally have a washer, a copper or aluminium washer, which you can replace. But again, they're normally alright to reuse as long as they're not damaged. Just make sure you take your registration number with you when you go to wherever you get your parts, and they'll be able to recommend the oil and the oil filter, and they could probably sell you a sump plug as well. Price wise, the oil filter, you should be able to get an aftermarket one for under £10. Sump plug, I'd say probably £3 or £4. And the engine oil, depending on what brand you go for, you should be able to get 5 litres for around about the £50 mark. Right, we're going to drop it down now and top up the oil. So make sure your dipstick's still loose, which allows air back out of the engine while the oil's going in. And hopefully it won't glug up everywhere and make a mess. So when I picked up the oil for this engine, they recommended 4.1 litres. I'm going to put in about 3.9. I don't like to just put the whole amount in that's recommended, because sometimes that isn't completely accurate. Which is why I haven't put the undertray back on yet, because if I do go over, I'm going to have to drain a bit out, which is why I try and put a bit less in that's recommended, run it up and dip it. It's far easier just to top it up in little dribs and drabs rather than having to try and drain out the correct amount. Right, I'm going to stop there. Go and fire it up. So we're just got to start it up, make sure the oil pressure light goes out straight away, and let it tick over, only for, I don't know, about 15-20 seconds, something like that, just to let it build up pressure and circulate around the engine. It's not a good idea to rev an engine that's just been started up, particularly if it's been drained of oil, because it will take a little while for it to pick up and circulate again. So I'll go ahead and do that now. Okay, so we've put the oil in, let the engine tick over for 15-20 seconds, just at idle speed, didn't rev it up, the oil light went straight out, turned it off, let it stand for 3 or 4 minutes, and now we're just going to check the oil level. So I've cleaned the dipstick. You can see fairly clearly there, minimum there, maximum there. Some dipsticks are a real pain to read, but that one's fairly clear. So I've put in 3.9 litres. Again, that's not very clear. It looks, I'm going to clean this off and do it again. Looks a bit of a mess, to be honest. Sometimes you get a bit of oil in the dipstick tube, which can give you false readings. Make sure you've got the car on a flat level surface. I'm going to give this a little spray just with some brake cleaner. And coat everything else behind it as well. Ah, now that's more like it. You can see there it's just touching the maximum, that little bit of writing on the dipstick. That side's a bit of a splurgy mess, but that looks like the correct reading there. I'll do it again once more. I think there's just a bit of oil in the actual tube that the dipstick goes in, which is giving it a funny reading on one side. But yeah, I'm happy with that. I'm going to leave it at that. That's just under 4 litres of oil. The longer you leave the car to sit, that level's going to creep up fractionally, and having too much oil in can cause damage, just the same as not having enough. So we'll leave it at that, take it back up in the air and put the under tray back on. Right, back underneath. We've had it running for a while, just ticking over in the workshop. I've double checked the tightness of the oil filter by hand and it all looks dry, there's no leaks. I've double checked the tightness of the sump plug. You will find tightening torques for any mechanical fixing, but you just need to be sensible and nip it up, don't overdo it. So that's all good. I'll go ahead and get this tray back on now. It's got a couple of like hooks almost that sit up on the subframe there, just to help hold it in place while you're bolting it up. Let's see if you can get it located. That's it. Okay, so we've had the car running on the ramp for quite a while. We've checked underneath, no visible leaks, everything's tight. Fit the cap and dipstick back in, level's good. All I do now, as I do with most of my jobs, is give it a road test, a small road test. Make sure everything drives nicely. I'll bring it back in and make sure there's no leaks. And that's about it.